Рекорд мира подбит на 1,5 секунды. Ну, как говорится, привет нашим зарубежным коллегам. У них у многих прошел отбор.
Haha, the days of normal weekends and weekdays and any day are over. Because swimming has completely lost its mind. Coming off of the Westmont Pro Swim, I was like, yo, we're just gonna chill for a while. Nothing exciting in swimming is gonna happen for at least, I don't know, a week?
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Not only has Australian Championships been a very stout meet that isn't even their trials for this summer's World Championships, but Russia is also having their nationals, which is also not a trials meet because they are not allowed to go to World Championships. That's a whole nother topic. And at these Russian nationals, teenage breaststroke sensation Evgeniia Chikunova decided to completely melt our minds.
Мира 2:18:95, у нас остается 5 метров. 2:15, 2:16, 2:17:55.
She just dropped a 2:17:55 in the 200-meter breaststroke. That is a world record by 1.4 seconds. As if we didn't need another pre-World Championships world record. Too bad, we got one. The women's 200 breast world record is a really interesting one because in 2008, Rebecca Soni broke the world record at 220.22. Then a year later, with the super suits, we had Anna Pierce go 220.1. 3 years later at the London Olympics, Rebecca Soni was able to go 220.0, and then later in the meet, 219.5, becoming the first woman ever under 220. Then we had Rika Møller-Pedersen of Denmark go 219.1 just 1 year later, and we wouldn't see anyone else break that mark for 8 years until Tatiana Schoenmaker of South Africa got it at the Tokyo Olympics going 2:18.9, the first woman ever to go 2:18. So I kind of thought that record was safe for a while. Again, there was an 8-year gap between 2:19 and 2:18.
You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
We just had a year and a half until someone decided to go 2:17, and Chikunova completely blew this swim out of the water. So if we take a look at the splits, she was out 32-1, but the last 3 50s are where she really shined. She was 5-1, 5-1, 5-0, which is remarkably consistent, especially if you take a look at Schoenmaker's record of 2:18.9, where she was out 1-6 and then 5-4, 5-4, really good for her there, but then 6-4 on that last 50. Chikunova was only 1/100th ahead of Schoenmaker at the 150, but then just blasted a 35-0 to Schoenmaker's 36-4 to break that world record by 1.4 seconds. The entire 1.4 seconds of this world record are on that last 50. Okay, technically 1.39. She got 1/100th by the 150, which is a remarkable feat and shows the tenacity and consistency of Chikunova. Currently in the world rankings, Chikunova is 5 seconds ahead of the next fastest performer, which is Tess Schouten from the Netherlands, who's clocked a 2:22.2. As you can see, 3 other women have clocked 2:22s this year, a very fast time in the 200 breaststroke, except when you look at the world record that Chikunova just set. If we take a look at this race video, the first thing that stands out to me is her immense distance per stroke. Chikunova's breaststroke is almost like a breaststroke drill, meaning that her pull is almost completely separate from her kick, which is something that a lot of breaststrokers practice but not necessarily carry out in their actual stroke when they're racing. So as you can see, Chikunova is super long on this first 50. She actually only takes 13 strokes, but is still able to go out in that 32. She touches almost a second ahead of the pack at the 50, and then keeps things rolling from there. Her turns are a little wonky. She almost looks too bunched up, as if she's too long for the turn itself or to compress her body into the turn, but you can see how this helps her in the long course swimming, where she's able to really stretch out and maximize that stroke count and distance per stroke in her breaststroke. So by the 75 meters, she's completely dominating this race, and we already saw her have a really good swim in this meet. In the 100 breaststroke, she went 104.9 to break into the top 10 performance of all time, but we also know that this 200 is much more of her specialty. Again, you have the bunched up turn at the 100, but she is well out in front, 107.2. Remember, she went 35.1, 35.1, 35.0 on her last 350s. When you get the front angle, you can see that her breaststroke is kind of normal looking from the pole perspective, but then when you get the side, you can see how far she's able to stretch with each stroke. Her tempo is nice and long, she's not rushing anything, and she's really able to extend on each and every stroke. So here at the 150, she is so far ahead of the pack. And you see that she kind of tempos up into that last 50 to make sure that she's carrying speed into and out of the turn. And now she does tempo up coming into this last 50 as she's able to get a little more steam going and finish strong. Remember, she was 35.0 on this last 50, which is really where she broke that world record and put herself very far ahead of Tatiana Schoenmacher. So these last 10 meters, she really tempos up, gets her stroke going, and carries the momentum into the finish where she's able to complete this world record swim. And what a swim for the young Chikunova. Now, the question is, A, will FINA ratify this swim and make it a legitimate world record? I think so. They've ratified a lot of the Russian records so far, and World Aquatics has said that as long as Russia is following all the guidelines for ratification, which it appears that they are at this national championships, then the world record is going to count. However, we already know that Chikunova, being a Russian, is not allowed to compete at this year's world championships. So what does this really mean? If she sets a world record but can't even compete against the best in the world, especially next year if World Aquatics and Russia don't find a way to get Russian and Belarusian athletes into the Olympic Games, we're gonna have a world record holder by a sizable margin left out of the biggest swimming stage globally. I'm not making a commentary on this video one way or the other of whether Russia should be able to compete or not, but it is mind-blowing that we could see the fastest swimmer in history not allowed to compete at the Olympic Games in her best event. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'm guessing you were as surprised as I was, so I'm glad we could dissect this together. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to stay in touch with all swimming videos and every surprise world record that apparently is now commonplace in our sport, and leave a comment below on whether you think Evgeniia Chikunova should be allowed to compete in the 2024 Olympic Games. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time.